Okay, so this is going to be a video tutorial on how to initially start up the Vicon database, as well as how to create the naming template skeleton within Vicon Nexus. So first thing we do is we need to copy some data from the server, which is going to be the X drive. And we will see on here that we have our session 1 data, which I put in here. Okay, so on this computer, I believe I already have this on C Vicon, or not. Oh, okay. What we'll do is we'll go to create a shortcut to My Documents on the desktop and then open that up. Okay, so what we're going to do in here is we're going to create a directory called Vicon. And in there we're going to copy the data from the X drive. Okay. And we're just going to copy session 1, copy and paste from one window to the other. Now, this takes a few seconds. And so once you have that copied over, just make sure you have a bunch of stuff in there. Should be okay. Okay, when we do. So then what we'll do is we'll open up Vicon Nexus, and we'll be presented initially with a open database or create a new database, which is what we're going to do, feature. Okay, so then we'll click new, and first we'll tell it a location. Our location is going to be in My Documents and Vicon. Just pick that, and we'll call this Intro to MoCap 2008, and we want to pick clinical template and say create. That'll create our list here, and you'll see that it'll also create inside of our folder where we copied the data over, Vicon, a new folder. What we want to do is we want to drag session 1 into there, or cut and paste it into there. So then when we open this up, we will be presented with two windows. One is our data window, and the second one here is our data management window. And you'll see that session 1 now, because I copied it in there, now has all the trials that we recorded from Brian in the second week of class. Okay, so let's maximize this screen, and we can either click the maximize button or double click on the bar. Then I like to close the communications window and have enough space available. So just as a quick introduction to the 3D movement in this environment, if we hold the left mouse button and go left and right, that will turn our environment left or right. If we go up or down, that will rotate our environment up or down from the center pivot. If we hold the middle mouse button in, being careful not to turn the wheel, we can drag our environment up, down, left, and right, depending on how we move the mouse. Now, if we hold the right mouse button in and go down or up, we zoom in or out. If you go left or right, it doesn't really do anything while holding the right mouse button. It just zooms in or out when you go up or down. Okay, so that's how our three-dimensional navigation works. So let's go ahead and try to open up some data here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into here, and you'll see by default session 1. Now, most programs, when you double click on this, it'll open. This program doesn't work that way. You have to click the plus button. So what we do is we want to open T-pose up. So that's going to be our first trial. We'll open up, double click on T-pose, and what you'll see is that it'll import in the camera settings and the force plate settings and the other things that the Vicon system recorded. Okay. The first thing that we want to do is we want to reconstruct. We want to run the Reconstruct Pipeline. There's a number of ways to do this. The easiest way, however, and the way that I want you to do it, is to go up here and click these gray dots. When you do that, you'll see that you run the pipeline and that the dots will be indeed found as I rotate the camera around here. The dots will be found from the person. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to set up a template to label this subject. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do, by default we start in the System tab. We need to go into the Resources window over here and go to the Subjects tab. We're going to click on Create a Blank Subject, and because our subject in this case was Brian, we're going to name this Brian. Okay. And we can open that up, and you can see that it makes a series of things with respect to the model for Brian, although nothing will be labeled yet because we haven't labeled anything. Okay, so now we're going to go over to the Tools window. In the Tools window, we're going to see the camera setup, which is also called System Preparation. We're going to see Subject Preparation. We're going to see Capture, which in this case we're not going to use. We'll only use that on the main system. We'll see the Label Edit window, which you'll become familiar with shortly, and we'll see the Pipeline window, which we won't use a whole lot of in this class. What we're going to spend some time in right now, though, is the Subject window, or the Subject Preparation box. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to look at the Labeling Template Builder. And actually, we can just hide these other things by clicking on the little triangles to give us some more room, and so we can focus on this here. Okay, so when I create a labeling skeleton, I like to start from what I call a root segment and work my way out. Your root segment is, in this case, going to be your pelvis. Okay, so let's name this pelvis, P-E-L-V-I-S, for those of you non-native English speakers. Okay, so we type that and we click Create. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're gonna try to label long axis followed by short axis. There's a reason for this, and it has to do with some automated stuff that we'll work on later. For now, what I want you to do is just follow what I do and know that there's a reason for the order. You can override the order, but it's probably better just to learn it, how to do it this way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is going to be, in my case, the front of the pelvis on the left, the front of the pelvis on the right. I'm going to go to the back of the pelvis on the left and the back of the pelvis on the right. Then I'm going to pick the sacral or the tail dot, okay? And those are going to be the 5 dots that define the pelvis. After I pick those 5, I'm going to go over here and click the Create button. What you're going to see is that's going to create this orange colored segment looking thing. Don't worry about color coding these right now. We'll do that later. But for now, what you want to do is you want to create that segment. Okay, so that created our pelvis. We can look over here and we can look at our pelvis segment on Brian. So